All right. Hello to the. Sorry, hello, and welcome to the sixth, actually, episode of the Zoom Out podcast. I am your host, Juan Baptiste, and today I have a very, very special guest. He just so happens to be the reason as to why I have done a lot of different things when it comes to film and also just creativity in general, kind of just the way it started. So welcome, Mr. Azim Siddiqui.
Oh, thank you, man. You're gonna make me cry at the start of this thing.
Might as well, you know what I'm saying? It's been a little minute since we've actually seen each other in person.
Absolutely,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
4 or 5 years. So yeah.
Look at my boy. He's a man.
Yeah, I'm out here doing a podcast of all things.
That's awesome.
All right, so it's good to first of all, it's good to talk to you. I called you at this point like a week ago,
Yeah, something like
or 2 weeks ago, and just wanted to like catch up. And we've gotten some good conversation on that phone call. I think we were on the phone for like an hour,
dude. Yeah,
and just like having a conversation about all the things that were going on in the world and stuff like that. So I guess we can get started. So go ahead and introduce yourself, name and your job and stuff like that.
sure. My name is Mohammad Azim Siddiqui. I have the greatest job on earth, thank God. I teach film and video production at Roxborough High School in the Philadelphia School District.
All right. And what exactly would you say is the reason as to why you got into this profession, actually?
So I'd been doing freelance media production on and off. I was also assisting. My dad was quite elderly. He was a hydrogeologist. I would assist him in field work. As like the job became more stable, the freelance work became more frequent. I started looking to try to find something even more concrete because of like outside costs, like healthcare costs and things like that. And so I instead of doing freelance, I switched over to working for media production companies like full time. On the way, I was still doing freelance every now and then. And I had a client who was a very brilliant elderly Jewish woman. And I think I was like the fourth person who had been sent her way by a company I had a lot of freelance work from. And basically everyone else before me just got run over by her intelligence. And they were like, you know what? We're passing up this contract. And when they went to me, I don't know, like she became a dear friend, she and her husband, her family. And I think it was maybe like, it's weird to say this about yourself, but it was a measure of patience and diplomacy as opposed to like just trying to do it one way. And the project was a huge project, but it turned out great. That was probably the first sign. And then like I started getting these like teaching roles in media education. And there was a job that at a company I worked for where a teacher at one of the Philly high schools had retired, and this company snagged the like long-term sub role. The company sent me and a dear friend, and the friend didn't like the work at the company. She thought teaching was great, but she wanted to get out of the company, so she stopped going. Right. And so I didn't want her to get in trouble. So
she just stopped going entirely?
She stopped. Yeah. I don't know what she was up to. But like, we were supposed in a week. I was supposed to go 2 days. She was supposed to go 2 days. And she stopped going. So I started going 4 days so we would make the hours. Right.
Okay.
And even though we were filling out reports, no one at the company noticed. Right. So, I kept on going, and because I was going, oh, there's the bell. School day is over.
Yes, indeed.
That's 2:34.
This is right at the end of his shift that we're recording this. So
it's crazy, right? Like everyone's waiting. and now it's Friday, even though it's Thursday afternoon. In everyone's
Yeah.
hearts, it's Friday.
I mean, it's also Halloween, so I
Oh God,
mean,
yeah.
they're immediately ready to go out too.
No, and yeah, Halloween in high school is great. Just to
Yeah.
see kids like they're dressing up and they're also like good at dressing up. Like they're not,
Right.
So and we teach film. We want kids to come in looking like they, battle the zombies. So,
Of course.
yeah, and it's extra credit. But yeah, so somewhere in there, going twice as much, and struggling through that, but still trying. A teacher in the district said, pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, maybe you should consider this full time." And that was
Mhm.
probably what brought me to teaching. Initially, I landed at West Philadelphia High School, which was a great 4 years. It
Mhm.
was, the school was very much struggling at the time. And like I came in after a teacher who never set foot in the building, but at another school, he had left his keys out, and the kids
Mhm.
had taken his keys and driven his car around the neighborhood. So then he
Oh.
got into a physical altercation with one of the students and was like exact was released from the
We
school.
out here.
And he was the teacher of record at West Philly High since the start of the
Mhm.
school year, but had never come in the building. So the students that I inherited from him when he was finally released had been like sitting in a room for since September, and my first day was March 17th of
Uh-huh.
2014. And like, yeah, like they had formed a resistance movement. Like they were gonna like actively be mean to me to try to get rid of me. And
This was at West,
this
right?
was at West, yeah. And then I came on, and like, they just kind of like, I guess I won them over. I
Mhm.
had, prior to getting that job, friends had said, well, you won't last a second in Philly, right? And like,
Oh,
God help me,
really?
like here I am 10 years later,
I mean,
with
yeah, you proved them
yeah,
wrong, I see.
with a master's degree and all that. So that's kind of
Perfect.
the short story of it.
Okay. Um, and actually, just real
Yeah.
quick, because obviously I was in my finally getting out of middle school and stuff like that, and I got into ninth grade and 10th grade was when I first met
Mm-hmm.
you. And around that time, wasn't it the exact same situation where you were just coming in
Yeah.
and there was a teacher that was like,
Yeah.
there was the teacher that was there, and then we got into the classroom and all the students that were the year above us hated you for some
Mm-hmm.
reason?
Like it was the same. It was the same dynamic, right?
Yeah.
You guys were like my first real class because
Yeah.
like I had you all 3 years. A pandemic got in there and all that, but like you were my kids, right? The previous
Yes.
years, the 11th graders and the seniors, they had a great teacher here who was a friend of mine who recommended me for the job here, and
Mhm.
they had literally said like, well, we're gonna be so mean to this guy he leaves, and they tried their best, but like, like
Right.
there were some shouting matches, and I kind of get that. Like they had been in the program for 2 years or year, it's their second year, and in comes this new guy telling them what to do in a classroom they've
Right.
spent most of their high school career in. And the line, I don't know if you remember this, was well, this is not film. That's what some of them would say. It's like, all right,
Uh-huh.
the rule of thirds is totally film. Don't tell me it's not.
That's like almost
Yeah,
guaranteed what
yeah.
the what
Like,
film
what are you
is.
talking like this? This is totally film. You don't get to. But I've walked the runway. Yeah, at your church once. You don't get to tell
Like
me like I'm a model. Don't you understand that? No. Then, and
yeah,
most of
you
those
might be a
kids,
model, but you're not an actor.
exactly. And like you have like you know what? I get that you've walked the runway, but you still got to learn how to use Premiere Pro, and I feel like that's the real
Exactly.
problem. You just don't want to
That's
like
that's the thing that they will not know at
yeah.
all.
And
Yeah,
you
so
killed it at Premiere Pro. Your class
of
killed it,
course.
right? There was the older kids that had like, had lines like, "Well, I only perform in front of the camera." Great. You're still gonna have to learn how to use the camera and edit with the camera.
Exactly.
So yeah, there
Yeah,
was that resistance movement here, and like the thing, there were a couple of arguments where like yeah, people noticed, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, and that kind of
yeah.
silenced it. But like the junior class that I came in on, that
Mhm.
were seniors when the pandemic hit, but like by the time they were seniors, they already like I love those kids, and I'm still in touch with
Yeah, they got
several.
over
Yeah,
it. Yeah, and that's the best thing too, because from my understanding, since I came in for I think orientation, and there was that teacher, and I was like, okay, this is going to be the person that's going to be teaching me. That's great. And then I come in, and it's this guy.
yeah. Thank you.
Who I
Thank
don't
you.
know who he
And,
is. I've never seen him a day in my life.
and
And then all of a sudden, everybody else hates him. I'm like, what's going on?
yeah, yeah, and like, and I was like, well, he's my friend. I can call him up right now. And like, they were like,
Right.
yeah, call him up so we can talk about it. All right, I'm not gonna call him, but
It's a lot going on
yeah,
right now. Right. But that's yeah, I'm glad that you kind of still had the same dynamic going into Roxborough. So it like you automatically felt exactly you already went through this before.
yeah,
So it kind of was just like, okay, I know what to do to make these kids get over it and then whatever.
yeah.
And I'd say it at least worked, especially since we got in. The first thing you told us was get 21 certifications or you're not going to be here next year. We'll
Mm,
get into that later, but
mm.
yeah.
There was
But
that. Yeah.
yeah. So a question that I also have is a part of like when it comes to teaching film and all of that type of stuff, what would you say is like the most important thing to you specifically about your job?
Well, just as far as like being a career and technical education teacher, if for people who don't know what CTE is, like when I was in school, it was called Tech. It's but it's far more. It's proliferated everywhere. It comes very
Mhm.
much out of the blue collar. The idea that like the United States needed plumbers, they needed carpenters, so they would train kids as opposed to informal apprenticeships. We're going to standardize it. By the time the kids leave high school, they're going to like have a union or place to go to. Now, as the
Mhm.
workforce has changed, they expanded it to things like film and video production, digital media production, and graphic design, things like that. So, in that respect, beyond sort of understanding the field, and I'd done this for I think like almost 12 years, 15 years when I came in. I've learned more on the job, the like details of the job, because I got to teach my kids. Like as a teacher, I've learned more on the job than I did as a video producer. Like as
Uh-huh.
a video producer, you're doing your thing. No one's going to tell you like, "Hey, it's unsafe to store a C stand that way," right? But as a
Right.
teacher, like, all right, I'm going to look up the
You have to
actual
make sure you say that.
OSHA
Yeah.
rules and stuff. Beyond that, just as far as being a teacher in the school district of the largest poor city in America.
Mhm.
Um, what I feel is the most difficult part of my job is that, or the most important, related to most difficult, is unfortunately because of the nature of, and this is a national problem. Teachers are leaving education all over the place
Mhm.
because of all the liability concerns. Um, People will educate safe, but in a
Mhm.
useless way. So there is a
Okay.
worksheet culture, for example, where
Yes. Okay.
like the the terms are on this side and the definitions are on this side,
Yeah.
and all the kid
Okay.
has to do is draw a line. Great. No, a film will
Yeah.
never get made
That
that way,
doesn't
right?
that is not really
Yeah.
how I would learn film in a sense, yeah.
Exactly. And also, like, they're, in my opinion, the kids are over tested. Every
Mhm.
2 weeks, our kids have a standardized test pretty much, right? The last big freelance production that I did was for a consortium of school reformers. And Vaughn, you
Mhm.
know this now. I'm sorry, is Vaughn the right name, Vaughn? Yeah, all
Yes.
right. Whew, I was wondering about your stage name. I'm sorry, but so
Yeah. Nah, it's all good.
so you do your research, right? You ask questions. The client or the subject answers. You ask follow-up questions. You nod politely, right? And it
Right.
was about the difficulty of being a teacher and the difficulty in the school district. And then about, 5, 6 months later, I'm a teacher in the school district. And one of the things people complained about was, the amount of standardized tests. And then I'm there losing 3 weeks of the school year every year to the Keystone exams. And I've never met a student who's like, great, I want to go kill the Keystones this year. No, that it demotivates them from school in general.
Yeah.
That certification exam, which Vaughn still holds the record at Roxborough for getting 3. And yeah. But yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we got 2 others tied this year, Vaughn. We'll see. They're seniors right now.
I mean, they might get up. They might get up there.
They're gonna have to learn Illustrator or something, right? But like,
yeah,
the Photoshop, the Premiere, and the After Effects they've got, just like you.
Yeah.
And like,
okay.
Like saying that, like this to quote a friend, he said that my high school diploma fell off of my resume, but my certification stays on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like when the kids come in, like practically trained to dislike standardized testing, right? Or to view it as just a headache, to overcome that and to teach them that they can win and to have them win, that to me is the most important part of my job, right? I got to say to them, get them to say, especially with the standardized tests or the certifications, right? Because thanks to the efforts of Vaughn and his friends from his class as 10th graders, right, we were able to get what's known as a site license, where instead of the kids never taking the exam until they're senior, they can take it as 10th graders, as 11th graders, and 12th graders as many times as they want, pretty much. So a kid might take it the first time and get a 300 out of 700. And that is just another, like brick in the wall of them hating standardized tests. But to go in and say, like, you got a 300, you got this. Next time we're getting 310, right? Next time we're getting 400. Yeah. And someday we're going to get 700. You're going to kill this thing. We're going to line them up, right? That to me.
Right. And then they come in and then all of a sudden they get 800. Yeah. And then that's just like amazing.
And then that's right. Like, I passed this test. It's worth 3 college credits. I can get a better internship from it to get a career. Yeah, this thing matters, right? We are forced to conduct the Keystones every year. And you got to take the math, English, biology preparation exams, the STAR test or whatever, to try to get ready for it. But no, this matters. This will be with you. This is something you can roll into greater success. And then we apply that to our film festivals, our competitions. We are just a neighborhood high school. But when kids from this joint beat the $40,000 a year private schools, the art schools, the suburban schools, then they know they can do anything. So that, to me, to motivate the kids, to build that inner faith in them that they can do whatever they set their mind to, that's the most important part of the job.
Okay. Well, actually, that sounds like a very good thing that would be as important because I will say, especially since right now I'm actually doing I've talked about this on like 2 other podcast episodes, but I'm doing a capstone on, like, for my senior year, I'm doing a capstone on things such as like imposter syndrome, where you come in and you don't believe you're not really able to do a certain thing. And then after time of trying to overcome it, you actually get to that other side. And what you explained was basically just that.
Nice.
It literally was the fact that even though there is times where there's going to be an issue where, like, oh, you might not be able to do this, that, and the third, or you think you don't have the capability of doing so, but you absolutely do. And you sitting there and saying, like, oh, I'm going to encourage them to get a 410 or encourage them to get a 500, or like continuing to build that, it helps out. And I very much so respect that being with your answer to that question.
Yeah. And I mean, Vaughn, absolutely, man. Like, So the highest level a teacher can get to, other than a doctorate in the district, is known as senior career teacher, and I just got that this year. Right, thank God. Right?
Okay,
Woo!
congratulations.
Yeah, I got a master's of
Yeah, I got you.
education.
No, I got you.
There we go.
I got
There
you.
we go.
I got you. Don't even
Thank you.
worry. All right.
And you got to teach 10 years, and you got to take another like course in the district. And I still feel like an imposter. I still do, right? There's still that voice in me that says, "Oh no, we gotta try harder to make sure no one checks if we're really supposed to be here," right? And
Right.
I think, as you know, at some level, I feel like all men of color deal with that in professional settings, right?
Yes.
I love
Indeed.
this
Yeah.
job. It's not, our school is 90% African American. It's 100% economically disadvantaged. The average teacher here is a suburban white lady, right? Which
That is
I am
100%
not.
true. I can't confirm.
Yeah, last time I checked, I'm not that, right?
Right.
And that part of it, like looking around and not seeing anyone else who looks like me. That part of it, when even when I bring it up to the kids, like, all right, look, I love our teachers, our average teacher, but look around. Where are the African American men? Where are the African American women? What is it structurally that sets it up that way to prevent there being black teachers? Period.
Right.
And working against that, right? And also, and yeah, like, so some of other students that you might remember are now coming back and working in the schools and speaking with them about that also. That, like, no, you absolutely bring something to here. Is everything's good?
Yeah, something just messed up for like a second, but it's all
Yeah,
good.
that was once we referenced race, the FBI tuned in.
To change my camera and stuff. Man.
What's that Muslim guy talking about to that black dude? They type it.
Yeah.
So,
hey man. All right, we doing with another camera now. All right, continue.
Okay, yeah, but I mean that, yes, absolutely. Imposter syndrome is a great topic for anyone, but in particular, yeah, until professional landscapes change, people of color and other minorities, right? Anywhere you set foot, you're looking around for others.
Right.
Yeah. So, good luck, man. Let's see how it goes.
And I will also say, coming to a PWI, Widener University, that is also something that I can also say, like, yeah, it's I was definitely coming in here. I was definitely trying to look at who else looks like me,
Yeah.
just so I can see, like, okay, do I belong here first off, and then on top of that, do I feel safe here?
Yeah,
And
man.
those are the two things that are the most important.
I mean, yeah, some of the kids you would know, other students from Roxborough Film. Yeah, some of the schools they went to that are just, Widener's in Chester. Chester's a legit city right next to Philly. Dude, some of these kids are out where, like, the university is the only thing around for miles. They don't even have Uber. That's what one of them said. And she was the only person of color in all of her music classes. So
that is crazy.
She switched to another school. But yeah.
But that's why I'm glad I came here, and I'm actually seeing a large sum of people, especially this year. I'm not even gonna lie, they brought in like a lot of diversity this year specifically.
Great. And post-secondary institutions should encourage diversity. Whatever government and politics say, no, we are better off with a diverse community.
Exactly. I fully agree. So on to the next question that I have. What exactly would you say is like just like a typical day in your life? Like from the time when you come in for work to the time where you about to close your eyes for the next day.
So yeah, I mean, I try to get here as early as I can. But it's about a 40-minute ride in. School day starts at 7:30. I have my seniors first. We are still very much dealing with a school district dependent upon mass transit, in which our mass transit system, SEPTA, is still operating at 80% capacity. So getting the kids here is difficult. But when they get here, the seniors, like, if you don't like me, right, you're out by the first year, right?
True.
if you're, or life happens, you weren't serious about school, or maybe like other problems are going on. So by the time the kids are seniors, like we've been together for 3 years, right? We're not like teacher student. We're like some kind of weird family, right? And like that's where it starts off. The seniors usually set the tone. For me, I was out last year for a chunk of last year with this severe medical situation.
Okay.
And so for 4 months I was out. So, it is kind of like there's a bit of nostalgia because I missed so much of these kids, right? Like for 4 months when they were juniors, their development. So I'm trying to really focus on bringing that back up. The day doesn't really get a break until, like, my classes are right in a row with a meeting in between,
Right.
until like 1 o'clock or so. So it's just constant, constant, constant. And I'll admit, like, what I realized is I enjoy that rush, that adrenaline of teaching. It's a lot of fun to always joke with the kids, to see them improve, to see them hate something because they don't understand it, learn it, get good at it, and not even remember the time that when I said that, for them to like, no, adjust the audio levels, and they went, oh my God, right? Now you know what I mean by that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so that the day itself is, I teach my seniors, then my juniors, then my 10th graders. Each class is about 90 minutes. The way I do things is, I have a lecture at the start of class. We have our do now. We talk through what we're doing. Usually the first day of the week is when like we lay out what's going on in the week. And if there's a new topic, there's usually prepared slides. So if I'm teaching like 3-point lighting, there's prepared slides we go through. There's usually a gamified assignment using Kahoot, Edpuzzle, Quizlet, Google Forms. And then most of the class, ideally, in my opinion, should be spent doing hands-on stuff. So I try to get, like, I've not succeeded at this yet, but I would like for the kids to get all the sort of rudimentary skills in about 1.5 years. And then the remaining 1.5 years, now they're seniors, right? They're juniors and seniors, would be executing large-scale projects. But the issue is,
that sounds about right.
this building is 100 years old. So we've been, like, when you were here, we didn't really have a functional studio. This year, we're getting to the point where we have a functional studio. You guys did good things and were able to, like, get us the sort of cred to buy a backdrop and lights that you never got to use. But that's the nature of being in film land, as we call it now, right? That, like, you set up the success of the kids coming behind you.
What he's basically saying, guys, is we walked so they could run.
Exactly.
That's basically what happened, and we got none of the proceeds.
Yeah. You guys got us the site license, right? And now
did that, and then we brought these stuff up to the studio. That was it.
Pandemic came in and just like knocked us out.
It was over with at that point. Yeah.
And I was, God, Vaughn, this isn't necessarily answering the question, but I was just bringing up with the kids recently. When the pandemic hit and you were online taking the After Effects exam, and the way we would do things, right? We would have our class, our little Google Meet video where everyone's little icon is there, and class time would be over, but you guys would ask, like, can we just leave it open to hang out, even though Vaughn is in English class and such is in science class or whatever. We're leaving this this tab open in the background. And we're hanging out.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, we're hanging out, right? And Vaughn's taking the exam. We're talking, and we just hear Vaughn yell and celebrate. And we all knew right away. We all started celebrating. And, like, that was one of my greatest moments.
I remember that so vividly.
As a teacher, like, we all knew he's happy. He must have passed. And we we were just dealing with, like, the certification stuff recently. Because, like, right now the district can't even administer certification exams for some reason, right? Like, it's crazy to think that, but yes, you guys did so well at that stuff that, like, it's much easier for the students now when it comes to that. We've
That's great.
got much better gear. We're producing legitimate sort of student films. Hopefully we can keep it up.
Okay.
Did I answer your
I will
question enough
also.
about the like what my day is like? Did I mention the part where I put on the
Yeah.
bat suit and go sit? No.
Oh yeah. We don't have to talk about that part.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Batman. What are you talking about?
Yeah. We're not. Hey,
Yeah,
redacted.
yeah.
Anyway, uh, I just to because I actually did forget about that during that time where I actually was getting my certificate, because from what I remember throughout the entire process of me actually getting the certifications, the first one I remember, like for Premiere Pro, that's when we
Yeah.
were like first
Yeah.
doing it. You had just told us that our thing is in jeopardy, so we had to lock in. And I remember like studying super hard, even though Premiere is kind of simple in a sense when it was back then. Um, I remember us going through the whole process, and I ended up getting like the best grade out of it, like a 927, I think, out of 1,000. Of course, I remember
Yeah,
that number.
there you
That was
go.
the first time. That was amazing.
Hmm.
And then I remember also, like, that was exciting, and I specifically remember for that the little tradition that we would do is the moment the moment that we realized we passed, we just started throwing chairs.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was so enjoyable, and it made it even more
Yeah.
like, okay, now I'm ready to do the next one. Yeah,
We've lost that tradition. Maybe we'll bring it back this year.
you got to,
Right.
man. That's a
I
way
mean,
to.
remember what happened when we did that though? The dean of students ran in because he thought
Oh
he
yeah,
literally busted out his key and ran in because he
I do
thought
remember that
something
actually.
was wrong. Right? Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah,
So and it
and
was a great
then
tradition. We've tried to keep certain traditions alive. I still show, a couple of the films you guys made now several years ago to the students.
mhm.
That there was that one shot from your zombie film that's still one of the best shots that we've ever done in this
Uh-huh.
program. So
Yeah, and then specifically, yeah, back to that during COVID when we were doing it online, like I remember the reason why I got so excited was because I was so, like I said for the first one, I was so locked in when I was doing it. And I was just sitting there, I was like trying my best to get every single answer correct. And then as soon as I saw that it was, I couldn't stop myself from screaming. Like I think I might have been in the house alone at that moment. I don't know specifically, but all of a sudden I just remember being like, let's go. I jumped up, started going crazy. I loved that moment. That
yeah,
was actually really good. Thank you for reminding me
sure,
about that. That was
man.
great.
And like that was like that group of kids, you guys, right? That
Yeah.
like started off as like a cliquey bunch of 10th graders. Oh, our film's better. No, our film's better. The
Yeah.
like amount of love you guys had as seniors that like, no, we're all survivors in this horrible time, right? COVID was terrible,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
we're barely hanging on, all of us.
The weirdest
And
time.
like, like when we say like you're taking that exam, you're on a Chromebook, right? Which is not meant
Yes.
for any kind of media application.
Not at all.
Phoning in to the company that runs the exam in Utah,
Hmm.
controlling a foreign computer that has After Effects on it. So I don't know if you remember how frequently those things would crash, right?
Yeah.
One of your friends had like the worst luck ever. Every time that
Oh
kid
yeah.
tried to take
I
it
do remember
Premiere,
that.
it would be like he's 40 minutes into the exam and bloop, it
Yeah.
would crash
All of a
out.
sudden, boom, it was just
And
done.
eventually I was
I
like,
remember that. Yeah.
like, yeah, sorry, bro.
It might not be for you.
I think you're cursed. I think
It
Adobe
might not
hates you
be
or
for you.
something. So even just the
Yeah, that
fact
was
that
a
you
crazy
got
time.
through was big, let alone the
Yes.
first kid at my time here, at least. But I'm gonna go ahead and say ever to get an
Mm.
Adobe After Effects certification, which is huge.
Man, that was
Yeah.
when I was like so locked into this stuff, man. What happened?
Oh, stop. College is a different animal.
Yeah,
You know? Yeah.
absolutely. You have never lied. Um, okay, well, memory lane is amazing. I like I'm remembering like how good like especially, and the main reason why I always remember these things so fondly was because obviously number one, they were like very good moments for me and my friends. just to even meet you and have you like get us through that whole process.
Oh,
And then on top of it, before I even got to Roxborough, I was being told by my middle school teacher that I should not go to Roxborough because of the reputation at that time.
wow.
So then I got there. First of all, I decided to come. Like I'm pretty sure I told you I went there out of spite. You know what I'm saying? Just because she said that, I was like, no, you're not about to tell me what to do. I'm going where I want to go, and I went there, and it was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly,
Yeah.
and I ended up becoming friends with these guys that I'm friends with right now for 7 years, 8 years now.
Yeah, which is pretty
Yeah,
unprecedented in my experience, right? So yeah, and
yeah,
that's how special that group of kids was, right?
yeah, yeah. I felt like that might have been like the greatest. That is the greatest time of my life. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That I will fully say that with chest. Yeah, but that was great. I love going down memory lane. So another question I have for you would be, I remember you at the start actually of the podcast, you started talking about, I believe it was patience and what was the other word that you used?
Diplomacy.
Yes. What is your history with like learning patience with yourself? Like, how
Oh,
did you get to the point where you realized that you just need patience with these types of things?
I'm gonna say it's a history rooted in failure, Vaughn. Right? When like
Mm-hmm.
when stuff breaks down, right? You can like try to kick it to make it work, and it do everything, learn from your mistakes, and then it still breaks
Mm-hmm.
down in some other completely unexpected way. Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty obviously, believe it or not, guys, Mohammad Azim Siddiqui is Muslim, right? Like
Oh,
that part of
whoa!
it, that part of it,
This
like
just in.
the faith of it, and we're I know that sometimes this doesn't shine through in the media, but Muslims are supposed to respect everyone's faith, right? And so like
Mm-hmm.
my understanding of my faith and hearing other people's interpretations, that part of it I think built patience, right? That
Mm-hmm.
like you have to try your best, right? You have to do your best. You have to um, learn from your mistakes, plan around them, adapt from even the planning to potentially seek out other things. And guess what, guys? Even then, the volcano up the road might blow up and nothing works out.
Immediately knock
Right?
everything
Just
out.
take care,
Yeah.
like, but I had a shield. It just wasn't rated to like
Yeah.
withstand a mountain, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, I just saw stuff about Pompeii, so that's probably what's in my brain for that
Yeah.
example. Like,
Hey,
literally, like you think about
it
those
made
things,
sense though. It
right?
made sense.
And like and as a teacher, you try to learn. You have this kind of larger sample group. There's mistakes I make on my own, but I've got 30 kids that are 15 and want to live on their cell phone that I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
cajole to do work. And the roadblocks they encounter, the mistakes they do, we learn from that. So, like, all right, I'm going to teach a kid how to put a SD card into a camera, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think you could jam it in there the wrong way. But guess what the kids taught me, right? Like,
You could
you,
definitely do
you
that.
can force it in any which way, and like those kind of things. Like I try to learn from my mistakes. My father, who passed away about 10 years ago, he
Rest
definitely
his soul.
was he was the kindest man I ever met. He was very patient in his own life as well. And so
Mm-hmm.
those things, yeah, I think like that's where you learn it from, in my opinion, right? Like like that company that the friend stopped working in the long-term sub job and I was there. I got fired from that company. And even getting
Uh-huh.
fired, right, was a learning experience and understanding like, all right, it's not the end of the world. I know in retrospect, I'm like, oh yeah, they should have fired me. 100% they should have fired me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that anymore, right? I'm not going to be that
Right.
kind of employee. I'm going to, like try to come in prepared. So to me, that's part of it is learning from what the people that I've looked up to, that they had these moments of reflection, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a Muslim, my understanding is that um, we kind of believe that reflection or looking back on your actions is the like route to wisdom. And so, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, all right, if, that's an encouragement to think like, oh, what did I do wrong to make those like relatively good but crazy people fired me. Well, maybe I'll
Right.
do different now. So I feel like that's where my diplomacy, or patience rather, I think that honestly the diplomacy also grows out of failure.
Mm.
That like that's where it's come from, is reflection and failing, falling on your face and picking yourself up.
Yeah, I feel like that's always a really good thing to get over a lot of different stuff, because without failure you're literally just there's no way you're going to learn what happened. There's no way you're going to actually deep like, okay, I did this wrong. I did this wrong. I did this
Yeah.
wrong. Okay, let's see how I can learn from that.
I think there's some very prominent examples of people who have never been told no to their face and don't
Right.
don't like being told no. And like,
Yeah.
it's part of life. Like you gotta understand like how things go.
Yeah. I fully agree. I fully agree. So, in a sense, seeing as though you were talking about the fact that like there's 13-year-olds that always want to be on their phone. Also, I'm one of those people as well. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but it's okay. What would you say for you specifically? What would be some advice that you would give to your younger self? Just in any case, like just you can pick whichever situation you want, but like what exactly would be something that you would tell your younger self?
I mean, honestly, I'd be like, invest in these if possible. Everyone is going to be addicted to them soon. I mean,
Absolutely.
seriously, though, like, I teach film and video production in a career course. The career end of things is like outside of film, there's some stuff like, oh, teach them how to write a resume. And that's
Mm,
important theoretically. But the thing that's not necessarily on there that I teach my students is some of the financial literacy stuff. And I don't mean
mhm.
like when I look at financial literacy curriculums that are provided, it's like this is how you balance a checkbook. And
Mm,
okay, that's important, but I think it's more important to just have enough passive income coming in that, like, all right, if I'm a few dollars off, whatever, I got money coming in. So
right.
that thing, because I wish if someone had told me, like, put money in the stock market. Yes, it can. There is risk involved, but like some of my students are working jobs and they're in debt, right? Because
Mhm.
they're blowing it all on Uber rides, right? Or
Yeah,
like a new
I
pair
can
of,
attest.
yeah, like,
I can attest to them Uber
right.
rides.
And it's
Jesus.
just not worth it. Like, now put that money away. There are right now, I mean, God, there are places where it can make 10% a year. By the time you're
Mm,
my age, you might not even have to work. Those things, right? Like that to me is huge. I wish someone had told me that. I feel like the idea of um, incorporating absolutely 100%, just like making health a component of your lifestyle.
mhm.
Like, and I did that for a while, right? Almost to recover from a medical situation. I don't mind sharing if it's all right.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Like my family had a history of high cholesterol, and when I got to Roxborough, it was a lot of fun to teach film as opposed to digital media production. I was teaching the thing I
Mm,
knew, and I had great kids doing work. Like, oh my God, we're making movies for real, right? And
yes,
like,
indeed.
yeah, it was awesome, right? But like, I kind of like I was still eating a little bit too much, and I was overweight, and I got a high
Mhm,
cholesterol report, and I was put on a statin drug, and I don't know that I should have been on it, but that's where, like, when I say I was out for 4 months last year, that's where those issues arose from, was the drug to cure the problem that I could have avoided, or may not have even been a problem at all. So if your health is great
mm,
to begin with, you don't have to deal with the risk of pharmaceutical products or whatever. And
right.
I still in myself feel young, right? And I look at myself and I'm heavier than I've ever been, right? From the meds
Mhm,
I'm on now. And my beard is white. And I'm like, oh my God, but I still feel young inside myself. And I'm going to hang on to that. But like the damage that was done last year, I'm going to have to work at for years to come. to try to
Yeah.
even limit. And that's where, like, you guys, when you're young, the kids, even now, when they're walking around, they're like drinking soda and eating Doritos for breakfast, lunch, and
Yeah.
dinner. And I think if you,
Yeah.
you
That's
know, if you establish those healthy habits at a young age and like understand it, that like, hey, it's different in the city. You to like walk is potentially risky at times,
mhm.
at certain times of day in certain neighborhoods. But we got to make health a priority in communities where it hasn't been. Like
Right.
my parents were immigrants. I think if I said to them, I'm gonna go play on a sports team at high school, they would have been like, "Why are you running around playing games? You need to go study." There wasn't that
Mhm.
understanding of the role of health. And like, if it's brought to kids when they're still young, if it's like just brushing your teeth, then by the time you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be at least at your peak level of health possible for whatever might arise from a health situation. But
Mhm.
like, I feel like if I hadn't if I had just like kind of walked a little bit more or so on, I wouldn't have
Mhm.
even had the high cholesterol report that caused so many more problems afterwards. So yeah, I
Right.
think those things, like watch your money, um, health as a practice, and then lastly, there is some measure of truth to like finding something you love to do. I
Mhm.
liked producing movies and video production work and all that. But honestly, I love teaching more, right?
Right.
The one thing brought me to this, and this gig is great, thank God. Like, actually interacting with kids, and the vast majority of teachers are really sort of in the struggle with you, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that stuff is great. Like, it's great. Like, you know, when I first met you, I think you were maybe my height, maybe a little shorter. And like, to
Mhm.
see you grow, right? Metaphorically, but also physically, to become taller than me
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
is a great thing, right? And like,
Yeah.
I never would have thought that, like, beyond money, the sort of rewarding nature of the work, to find something that you truly like doing. If you can monetize it, great. But like, it's not just money, it's not just coolness. If you like helping people, if you like being a part of their journey, then there are many sort of careers like that, including teaching.
Yeah. Uh, I feel like everything that you touched on was actually really good. I will say, just recently, I'm not going to like put her business out there, but my mom, she's just found out that there's like a health issue that could
No.
have been prevented.
Okay.
That she's now working back into getting better at. So now she's going to be going back to like eating certain ways and all of that type of stuff. And it literally is what you just said. It's something that you don't really think, like you didn't think about at a certain point, because it was just like you were working on some other stuff,
Yep.
but it obviously will come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Like it'll come back to let you know, like, you still need to work on this specific thing.
Yep.
Um,
Just
yeah,
incorporate it in, right? Okay,
yeah,
maybe not every day, but 3 times a week, go for a 20-minute walk. That's what they recommend, an hour,
yeah,
right? I used to run for 90 minutes a day, right? And then like life happened and it became, I remember running several months ago, right? But if
yeah,
it was just,
yeah,
if that was brushing your teeth, that would be disgusting and horrible. You brush your
yeah,
teeth every morning, right? Every
yeah.
like that. That's how it should be with these things related to your health, in my opinion. And again, not to get too crazy political, but um, the busyness of American life needs to be
Mhm.
reduced so we have time and access to those things.
Yeah, I agree. And then with find the stuff that you love, I will also say that is I can agree. Even I feel like the me and you having this conversation, younger to older, it definitely shows that, because I can tell, like, I love doing creative stuff. I will say that. And it definitely has been it lit a fire when I came to your class. So I mean, I will definitely say that finding something that you enjoy and sticking to it is definitely something that needs to be if not a little bit less or the exact same amount as health, I'd say. Because it's still, would you say it's kind of on the same level? Like you're still that still has something to do with your health. Like you're doing something that you're enjoying, like mental health rather than like physical health, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I would say that that is my own bias or failing. Like when I was growing up, mental health was not a kind of public concern. But Vaughn, you're
So,
absolutely right. It is like to have something that is rewarding is a
hmm
mental health issue, right? Like, all right, I get that positive feedback, right?
hmm
I loved you guys. You guys are great, right? You guys were a great class to teach. This
uh-huh.
10th grade class has come in like fighting, right? The kind of culture of like
Yeah.
trying to avoid work, but no group has had so effective, like out of the kids that are here, basically 100% of them are editing right now. And I don't know that that
hmm
was the case with your entire class, right? We're
I
not going to
wouldn't say
name
so.
names,
Yeah.
but we know there are kids who are kind of just hanging out, right?
Me personally, I wouldn't say so. Maybe until the end,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
say, but definitely at the start, I'll say it was. I'm not going to toot my own horn or anything, but I
Nah,
mean,
you guys. There was a group that would do the work, and then there was a group that was like here for social reasons and all that, right?
yes,
And that's
I agree.
part
Yeah.
of the like, unfortunately, the kind of high school experience, right? Is that 10th grade is where like kids kind of figure out like, well, you didn't prepare enough in the previous 10 years, and now
Mhm.
like this place is going to get real quick.
Right.
And there's some of those kids that like life is gonna come up with them real quick as well. But like yeah, like these kids getting the current group of film land kids, right? Like getting them
Mhm.
to edit is a major like it's just a positive vibe constantly, and like they're helping each other trying to learn, right? Because they
Mhm.
know we can't just shout something at Mr. Siddiqui, it's going to slow us all down. So we're going to slowly sort of teach one another what to do for out of a sense
Right.
of efficiency. And yeah, I think whatever work you're doing, if you get that back, that's great, right? Like, I absolutely like it. That kind of positive attitude. I don't, we've all been in stressful situations. I would never
Yep.
want to live like that 24/7 or God,
Absolutely not.
5 days of work, 5 days a week for the work. No, thanks. And I think that absolutely, like as far as the our country trying to benefit its population, we need to consider that, right? We need to like make sure people are coming to like if not work or some other place getting um, that sense of self-worth of
Yes.
that if even if it's not out of work, that it's family or something that they look forward to. I don't want to imagine a life where I don't have something to look forward to.
Right. Absolutely. I fully agree. Um, and seeing as though we're talking about things that we're looking forward to, I'll ask a two-part question
Okay.
actually. So I know you've most likely said some of these answers, but I'd rather just ask this question to bring it all back together.
Sure.
What are three things that you say you accomplished so far? And then after that, what are some things that you're looking to accomplish in the future?
So I think getting the masters and becoming a senior career teacher. Um,
Hmm
that was just a great moment for me personally. Thank God. Like it was it was several years of classes. We have to pay for our
hmm
classes, right? We're basically like paying to work, and it's $3,000 a class. There's 12 classes you take while
hmm
working a very sort of demanding job. So I was able to, and that's if you so that's for like the teaching cert. Um, but if you select to get the master's, you have to take like a certain course load.
Mm.
And being able to pull that off was big. Like it's strange to look around now, and I'm not the new guy, right? I'm 10 years in. I'm one of the few senior career teachers in the building. That's a big deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like also just like this, thank God, the success of the students. You know, I don't know what it is, but like this year, the kids like you and others like are calling and checking back in. They're finishing up.
Yeah.
Uh, they're finishing up university. They're getting jobs. They're getting recommendations. They're like one of my students from West Philly High got her master's in film. I don't have a master's in
Right.
film, right? That's
Yeah.
huge, right? So to see the well-being of the vast majority of my students, um, and to have students report back that, oh, something you said that like literally was brought up on the first day of nursing school, was brought up on the first day
Mm.
at Penn State. That's like, all right, that's why I'm here. Yes, I'm teaching film and video production, but the kids don't have to go into it. I say this to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a career and technical education program, but just because you go to school to be a carpenter doesn't mean you want to be a carpenter 2 years into it or
Okay.
you have to
Yeah.
do it. But for me, the kind of analog of that is really what I'm teaching you is problem solving and planning, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
to me, the hardest thing that happens in this building is when a bunch of students come together to shoot a short film, right?
Right.
Someone's got to write it, someone's got to know how to use the camera, someone's got to edit it. The people leading the effort got to not be jerks that no one wants to work with, right?
Uh-huh.
And if you're in competition against schools with more money, time, and so on, you got to catch lightning in a bottle creatively, because you can make a great film, but the rich kids at the private school that looks like a community college, right, that have their own like cafeteria building,
Yeah.
they might have
They
come
can
up
make it look
they
better.
might have come up with a better idea. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so like that, the fact that the kids have taken that knowledge out and
Mm-hmm.
executed is great. And I guess for number three, like we've talked about the certifications, the NOCD exam at the end, to see my students win, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
certs or the NOCD exam or the competitions we've won. When you guys were 10th graders, we won the Scholastic Anti-Bullying Competition,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
Yeah, we submitted 2 films. They were like, all right, we're giving you 2 first places because we can't pick between these 2 films,
Yeah.
right?
That was my first one. That's the craziest thing. That was the first one out the gate that I've ever done. And I
I
was sitting and I don't mean to
no,
interrupt
go
you, but like I was sitting, I remember vividly, I was sitting in the chair that you're probably sitting like across from, like
ahead.
diagonally from. I know the layout of that classroom. Like I remember sitting in there, like in that chair until what was it, 9 o'clock at night?
Yep.
Editing and getting the whole thing situated to actually post, and I put my heart into that, and I remember how great that was.
And that was like your kind of microphone moment where we were
Yeah,
like, listen to Vaughn's voice, listen to him narrate. And like,
yeah,
that was this big moment. And like that idea that like those little projects that they
mhm,
won was huge. Not, I'm sure for you guys, but like that was the thing as a teacher I pointed to in years to come. Don't tell me you
right,
can't do it. These guys did. If they did it,
right.
you can do it. And we've
In 10th grade.
yeah, and you guys got robbed by the pandemic. No one knows what we could have done. Right?
Yes.
But
Nah,
a
yeah,
year and a
that's
half
true.
of your 3 years in this program were spent online,
Online,
right?
yeah.
And yeah, since then, after the year we came back, the kids who looked up to you guys, they won the Greenfield Youth Film Festival, which is the largest
Yeah.
film festival in the region. And we are, out of the 40 schools, arguably, certainly the most challenged school in there. So for us to win that for the next 2 years, we did great in it, was huge. And that's what I'm trying to
As a
reestablish.
neighborhood school.
Yeah, we
Come
are a
on now.
neighborhood school.
Neighborhood school.
We are not an art school. We are not a magnet school. We're not a suburban school. We're not a private school that, like, God, I can't even afford to go to. And we did better. We won the narrative section, the narrative category. We won that. And that festival was huge in this area amongst the programs. Yeah, it was great. And also, something you left out about us editing late until 9:00 was we also directly learned, this school is haunted, right? And that story came up because it's Halloween today. That story specifically came up. They're like, nah,
What was the ghost's name?
Would you guys say, like, Henry or Charlie or something?
Henry, yes, yeah. Henry.
Like, remember,
definitely Henry.
I was like doing the test narration in the room, and I thought I heard a baby laughing, and I was like, guys, and you all ran in.
We were like, what do you mean by that?
You all ran in. You're like, and one of your classmates went, look at his face. Look at his face. What did you see?
No, I actually completely forgot about that. That was such a weird time.
I was like,
and we were talking about Henry for like a majority of the year too. I remember that.
Was a good, So and I just assigned the kids to, like, Halloween ghost story. So, and I told them that same tale. And, like, no, I mean, I wish I could, like, I wish the kids ran in and were like, I was like, let's have a discussion. No, you could tell by my face immediately something had gone down.
What did you just say?
Oh, yeah. It was good.
Yeah. And the 3 things that you're looking forward to in the future.
So 3 things I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to, like, I still feel like I'm filling the deficits right now in the program. So, all right, we've got a somewhat functional studio, but now I have to come up with a, like, curriculum to use the TriCaster and the, like, to try to, like, do a weekly or monthly news program. For those things to, like, be done. And the game is always changing. So, AI is on the horizon for all creatives. To live in a moment where, like, the economy of effort is finally working in my favor. Because I do feel like, I'm not just still coming up with lessons as opposed to fine-tuning existing lessons. I still feel like I'm coming up with that stuff, and let alone facilities issues and so on. So you can probably see overhead that, like, our half of our lights in this room are out, right?
Yeah.
So, like, those are issues that we're always kind of dealing with. For those to be subsided, and it's only me looking forward and, like, building. I feel like that's one issue. In my kind of, like, professional life outside of teaching, I've always sort of wanted to try to get back to production. So I love teaching, and I teach production, right? And I feel like I should, not spend years away from producing stuff. So to try to bring that in some way, whether it's like, oh, I'm going to go, work on a film over the summer. And that would sharpen me, I hope, in the producing capacity of being a film and video production teacher. But it's been years. For, like, essentially the last 10 years, I've been an educator. So I wonder if, like, I started applying for gigs again. I think, Vaughn, I'd have to start off as a production assistant again. I'd have to, like, compete against, like, people your age from, like, the film schools in the area, and some rude jerk who's living off of a trust fund so he can buy a red camera will be like, hey, old man, get me a water and a new battery. If they're like, hustle,
Yeah,
hustle.
that's gonna be that's gonna be an interesting time for you.
Yeah, no, I hate to say it. I probably will be like, you know what? I got a pension. I'm out of this gig. Like,
Yeah,
so
you know,
I'll come in.
I don't feel like being
Yeah,
yelled
you
at
know
by a
what? Yeah,
23-year-old.
yeah. And your first film was trash, by the way. And I'll knock
Like,
over
yeah.
Crafty on my way out now. But yeah, like that, some of that stuff that, like, just making stuff again. Like
Mhm.
I've helped people here and there, and that's been interesting. But like, like it's been more like almost corporate video work, but in a documentary sense. But to like get
Mhm.
into like actual narrative film production again would be great. And then God, to live a debt free, many, like, I want to get to a point where I don't have to check my bank account, Juan. Yeah, yeah,
Hey, that might be one for me too.
yeah, like where it's like, yeah, whatever.
Mhm.
I want to go out and eat a steak. There's no way I'm gonna get close to like having to tighten the belt or anything. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like this lens looks nice. I'm buying it.
All
And
right,
God,
cool. Just throw it out.
yeah, like God help me, I am close to that, which at times in my life I never thought I would be. But like, like being smart about money and getting
Mhm.
passive revenue streams is working out for me. Um,
That's great.
yeah, Bitcoin. Who knew? I did. I knew, right? So like,
Gotcha.
that's and yeah, that's like that stuff is. I'm getting there. I'm getting.
I'm very proud that you're getting there,
Thank you.
even though I'm however many years
Nah,
younger
man, you
than you.
got it. You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
You'll get
Uh,
you. It's on the horizon at least. But much like when you were in school, man, these kids getting pizza and Popeyes and Oreos, like, yo,
yeah.
man, like I need to like. I'm trying to institute this year. Like, I'm gonna buy 1 week. You're gonna buy the next week. We'll see how that
Got
goes.
you.
Because
Understood.
like the
Oh,
amount of cash I spend is a little ridiculous.
I mean, we can talk about that if you would like. So, from what I remember, back in the high school days of me being in this guy's class, I he decided to ask us if we wanted some food a couple times. You know what I mean? Uh, and a couple times turned into every single day.
Dude, it was,
And
yeah.
go ahead.
I mean, like the pizza joint up the street was great, right? So,
Yes.
and we
Yeah, great food.
needed to pass these certification exams. There was talk of potentially closing down the program because
Right.
the certifications are a state requirement. And they had lost the site license that you guys gained back maybe like
Mhm.
2 or 3 years before I got here, because some of the teachers felt, one, the exam is annoying. It's the most annoying exam the kids take. And so
Yes.
they just weren't teaching to it. At that time, at least, also the certification wasn't well known.
Mhm.
But it's gained, like, every year more and more people know about it. So it's gaining value. And like it was important. If we get the kind of backroom deal I had cut was, look, if the kids take it seriously and we get these certifications, basically using the vouchers that had been purchased for the previous year's seniors, right?
Mhm.
Where they purchased 21 vouchers for 21 seniors, and the senior class used 0 of them, right?
Uh-huh.
And they expired on December something. I think the last day of the calendar year. They're
Mhm.
purchased in January. They last until December, right? You're supposed to take it as a senior between January and June when you graduate.
Yep.
None of them had taken it. They were going to buy the current seniors, 2 years older than you guys, new vouchers in
Yep.
January of 2019. So I did the math and realized, like, wait a second, I got these 21 extra vouchers, let alone, like, it's a huge problem that no one passed a certification exam. That,
Or tried,
yeah,
right?
it makes the program look terrible. We're being
Mhm.
reviewed by the state. So, yeah, then I put it to you guys. hey, it's the second week of October. We've got until December. You guys do this. Also, it looks really bad and they might shut us down. So let's
Yeah.
take it
When I
seriously.
said that at the start of the
Yeah.
episode, that's exactly what I meant.
Right.
He told us exactly those words.
It's
And we
gonna
were like,
go
oh,
very bad for us.
okay.
Right? This could go this makes us look like we're just hanging out watching movies. And
Yeah. So
and
I know you guys just got here.
we gotta get this
Let's
done,
go.
right? And and then the exam, let alone our computers, was a lot. It was a lot for our computers, and there was times where it made more sense to take it after school. And I was hungry, you guys are hungry, and pizza tastes great. Let's get some pizza in this joint. And the pizza, the guy's name was Ali, and Ali he became a dear friend. He told me my credit card bill, right? And he was like, well, I read him the credit at the end of the school year, and I think it was like $2,800.
Yes.
Right? I was like, oh, that's
how you can tell how many days this was.
And we would have like a group of kids, and
Absolutely.
and it was those those moments when we won, right? When you guys passed, it was great. I still have those videos on my cell phone of you and one of your close friends dancing after,
just going crazy. I do remember that exactly. I remember that specifically, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
And
it was great.
You guys deserved it. The crazy part is, I feel like I spend more money now. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's way more than that. One of the traditions, we started, that I think you encountered as juniors before the pandemic was, every morning I buy Wawa. At the time it was
the butter bread,
the shorty rolls. Yeah,
the butter bread. That was the greatest thing of all time.
On the advice of my sister, and then I would say to the kids it'll change your life, and they're like, oh, whatever, and then they eat it and they're like, wait a second, this is amazing. Right?
When I tell y'all that we would come into this man's classroom and it would be fist fights to get this bread.
And that was the thing, right? You got to share it. And then the pandemic
everybody was trying to get that. That was great.
And that was the way Roxborough works is the homeroom or advisory, different schools call it different things, is the 10th grade class. So you guys had moved up to 11th grade, and you would take the trip down the hallway to get the bread out of the hands of the 10th graders who were actually in the class.
Yep. Let me get this real quick. I'll see you guys later because I will definitely be back during my other class.
That still goes on, but I've switched, Vaughn. If you haven't tried it, it'll change your life. Again, on the recommendation of my sister, to a buttered croissant.
A buttered croissant
from Wawa. It will.
I might have to try that.
And today I realized there's mission creep in it. I used to get 3, and you'd split them, right? 6 kids, but you can't really split a croissant the same way. So then it was 4, 5. Now it's 6, and I was like, I can't. I feel like I'm spending too much money every morning. The guys at Wawa know who it's for.
That is great.
I accidentally ordered. I'll get my coffee, and I'll get the 6 croissants, right, in the Wawa app, and I accidentally ordered 6 coffees, and they knew, Vaughn, they knew, oh, no, he means 1 coffee.
He meant 1.
6 croissants. And they refunded
That's
me
how you know it's bad.
$25 on the,
That's how you know it's
the
bad.
lattes. Yeah. So, the kids, even this year, there's a group of 11th graders who will rush in during advisory to steal the warm bread from the 10th graders. But
absolutely.
Yeah, and I know, I have religious beliefs about being an effective teacher, and now it is a certain religious role in Islam, right? The first, not to get cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs religious nutcase, but The
Go
first
right ahead.
line in the Quran is read, an encouragement to read. So it is like
Mhm.
it's not just a gig, it's a religious type position, let alone my family's been teachers for like 1,000 years. Teachers, farmers, soldiers. Maybe that's all of most of humanity. So yeah, like
Uh-huh.
I would buy the bread out of a sense of like a story in the family about
Mhm.
baking bread for the people coming in. And
Okay.
yeah, but it also, it's $10 a day, and there's 180 days of school. So,
Mhm.
do the math right there. That's a chunk of change, right?
Yeah.
Just right there, let alone gift cards and all that. So I don't remember if it was you or the one friend, whoever passed first. It's a gift card. It's a significant amount of money
Yeah, I
if you
remember that,
pass.
yeah.
Yeah. And when you passed the certifications online during the pandemic, it was Amazon gift cards. And like
Yes,
apparently like
indeed.
half the time the kids didn't even use them, as though Jeff Bezos needs my money for some
Right.
reason.
I I use those
Yeah,
immediately.
as well you should.
I don't remember what I got, but I definitely got something.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
what you got. I remember what you got.
I got something.
You got
Yeah.
this like, can I say what it was?
Good.
It was like this big projector wooden thing.
Oh, I think it was a yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about. It's this film camera that like you would create
Yeah. You
and it
built
would
it.
project something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was crazy.
Yeah, that was I actually do remember getting that. How do you remember that?
It's sad because I can't remember certain colleagues' names, but I can remember
A
what
random thing that I got
what Vaughn
for
got 4 years
Amazon.
ago.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. All right. Well, we're running up on the end on the ending of the podcast, but I only got a couple more questions.
Sure.
Like two,
Cool.
if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
So another question that I have is, what exactly is something that like a message that you would say that the world needs to hear right now? Like
Oh
just
man.
either whether that be election related, because I
Ooh.
know that's probably where your brain just went to,
I mean, I
or
think like I don't know if it shows. In addition to being a Muslim, I'm also like a huge nerd. Um,
Mhm.
I love the message of Star Trek. Right.
Okay.
I think there is no like because of social media and having more cameras than people on Earth. I
Mhm.
hope that we, as a group, as a species, learn the utter stupid and futile nature of warfare. Right? We
Hmm.
need to. I get there are bad people on Earth, but we need to make things good for everyone. And I think we can 100% live in a post scarcity world, right?
Mhm.
Sure, if you invent the next Google, you deserve to have your own private island if you want it. But that shouldn't mean that, some guy who could cure cancer is fixing bike tires in Karachi, right?
Mhm.
Let's encourage learning wherever we find it. Let's eliminate hunger and housing insecurity. All the issues I deal with teaching in an impoverished school district. We can beat those things, right?
Mhm.
If we can put a man on the moon, and we're about to put more people on the moon permanently,
Yeah.
we can certainly eliminate some of these larger structural issues that are going on
Mhm.
by far, right? I am first and foremost, thank God, Muslim and American Muslim, but absolutely there are people who are not American or not Muslim that I agree and vibe with more, right? Let's look past how we define ourselves to something that is in common. We are far more alike each other than we are
Mhm.
different. That's what I would say to the world in general, that like we can beat this, whatever this is that is hurting us.
All right. Okay. That's a damn. I got
No.
I got nothing. That sounds pretty good. I won't lie.
Oh, thanks, man.
I do agree. There's definitely some things that we can get over,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and
Like,
there's a
man, it's 2024. Let's leave that thing from the past in the
in the
past. Yeah.
past, and that goes towards a lot of things that
It
we will not talk
does.
about today.
It does. This is not the place to talk about those things.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not. But I only have one last
Sure.
question. Would you all right, so actually no. This podcast, I since you already know I'm like a heavy music listener.
You?
Uh yeah, of all people, me,
A
yeah.
singer. The whole family sings.
Yes, indeed. So what would you say as of right now is like maybe like I'll say 3 top favorite songs at the current moment,
Oh,
or so the 3 songs that have been on your have been on repeat for the past couple of weeks or something like that.
okay. So, I've been editing this one piece with the students secretly.
Mhm.
It's not that we have a secret film society at Roxborough, but we might. We might,
Uh-huh.
right? And in that, we've been using um, Nina Simone's "Be My Husband," right? Which has
Mhm.
been in my brain. So yes, driving into work, I'll listen to that. Um, I was at some store somewhere and heard like a quarter second or like 2 seconds of
Uh-huh.
oh man, this is gonna be corny. Fleetwood Mac's um, "When the Loving Starts" or something, whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so that's
I
been
keep
like
hearing about Fleetwood Mac.
yeah, like that. And I
I need to
think
give
it
them a
was
listen.
God, I think it was that like the one of the singers, not Stevie Nicks, I'm sorry, I don't remember the other singer's name, but they just
Mhm.
had her like estate sale. She passed away. I was shocked to hear that she had passed away. And I like Fleetwood Mac somewhat, but like the like older sibling cousins love Fleetwood Mac, the like children of the
Gotcha.
80s love it. So I've like it's been in the air around me. And I don't know why, like, just a little bit of the song and all of a sudden it's been there.
Uh-huh.
And then I know he's run into some anti-Semitism, right? But
Mhm. Mhm.
my some of my kids have been editing this one project, their sort of intro project. I don't remember if it was in place, Vaughn, when you were here. It's Pat and Chris, right? Yeah, it was, right?
Uh-huh.
Pat and Chris,
Yeah,
right?
I remember Pat and Chris,
So
yes.
so like they, now like they have to put credits in it and add music. And one of
Mhm.
my 10th graders recommended um something from Life of Pablo, maybe.
Okay.
And
The
like
Kanye song.
yeah, and it's stuck in my brain, Vaughn. It's stuck
Mhm.
in my brain.
Okay.
So yeah. So those are
I
the
have a couple of those songs that are like that too,
yeah.
yeah.
And I mean like I'll every morning for once a week or so, I'll listen to Matt and Kim's Lessons Learned,
Mhm.
which is kind of like the Filmland hype anthem.
Okay.
Because the video is sort of outrageous as well. So
Got you.
yeah.
Understood. And obviously, I mean, even though I'm not super into watching film as I should be, since I was in your class, what would you say is like your favorite film at the moment?
Favorite film at the moment, man. So when I ask people that, I like because it's hard to narrow it down. I usually say like, "Oh, what are your top three?" Right?
Mhm.
Ironically, my little niece, who lives out in Detroit, is now got a junior in high school and is in the
Mhm.
second year of a film program there.
Okay.
So we are waiting for Thanksgiving to watch a film that we watched together, Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and usually we'll show it in class. I'm concerned about the amount of violence in it, so I'm waiting for approval or to edit it down.
Yeah.
There is also some minor nudity in it that
Yeah.
I've blacked out and all that. There's that. Then also in that same vein, because it's Halloween, Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later
Okay.
is up there right now. And then more recently, although it's from 2012, um, I have been stuck on and recommending to one of my sort of amazing senior film students
Mhm.
the 2012 Tom Cruise film Jack Reacher, which is just
Got you.
if you haven't seen it, the way it's put together as this like murder mystery thriller is
Mhm.
just great. And on the second viewing, like just the details that are in it to explain what is going on is great. Tom Cruise, is this dynamic actor. He does a good
Yes,
job.
indeed.
He caught all this flack because the book character is this giant Frankenstein-sized man.
Mhm.
And so, like, even though they made a sequel, they didn't continue making them. But the first film is fantastic. The series is kind of great, where they did find Alan Richson, I think is how you say his name, who is like, he's like 6'5" or something, like this
Okay.
giant man. So those are the films that I've recently been watching as like comfort film watching, or that are up there. Aside from that, the Motorcycle Diaries, the story of Che Guevara kind of becoming somewhat politically aware as to the plight of people in South America. That's
Mhm.
pretty. That I'm gonna watch that very soon again for I don't know the 10th time.
Okay. That's I mean, those are sounds like some pretty good suggestions. I might actually watch some of those just because just so I can get into what I should be doing, which is doing more videos and films and stuff like that.
Sure, man. Yeah, it's
Um
all like
yeah.
yeah. I shot something this weekend for a friend, and
Mhm.
um, we were cold, we were outside, but there was a moment of like when the take was right. It's that great like sense of
Yes.
adrenaline and a rush. It's great. It's one of those great moments.
Especially and I will say actually like agreeing with that with the editing aspect of it. Just like I remember I have finished watching Breaking Bad like last year. I never watched it prior. That show is fantastic, top to bottom. Um, top to bottom, I love that show. And I'm now watching a show called Suits, which is like a lawyer based show.
Sure.
And it's
Right.
it's really good as well in the
That's Meghan
transitions that
Markle's
they have
show,
on there.
right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. I actually just found out that she was the one that
That's
actually
right.
was the
That
that's
that's what made her
she's the
famous.
Duchess, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
now she's royalty. She's part of the
yeah.
imperialist Vaughn. Sorry,
That is insane.
that's the Indian in me talking. I'm making the ancestors proud, but I hear the
Yeah.
show is good. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good show from what I'm watching right now, and especially, and it's funny because even though she's like royalty
Yeah.
right now in the show, I hate her so much, but she's, and the only reason is just because of how the show is and how she was at the start all the way up until right now. But she's fine as an like she's as an actor, she's really good, I will
Mhm.
say. Um and the show is just good as well too. I'm almost done. I got like 3 seasons left. Yeah.
Nice. I've been watching the show Snowfall because someone said it was like The
Yes.
Wire.
Yes. That is a great show.
So I'm like halfway through season 1, and it's been
Yeah.
like yeah, it's been like the if on at the level of Breaking Bad, I would say is The Wire, right? Those are
Yeah.
if you guys
Mhm.
haven't seen them, go watch them. There's nudity, violence, and the horrors of
All that
humanity,
good stuff. Right.
but also a great story. So
Mhm.
there is definitely it is the same subject matter, the proliferation
Mhm.
of the crack epidemic. I think that's where it's
Yes.
going. So someone had said it's like The Wire, and God, I miss The Wire. And man, I would, I'm not going to say rob a bank, but I'm not saying it.
Right.
If it meant that they would like the money could pay for season 6 of The Wire. Can you imagine like
I,
McNulty now? He's like some
that would be crazy.
drunk, broken cop, and like his kids or something. Like, please, David
Right.
Simon, please, just give
That'd
us
be
one
great.
one more season.
Hey, make another season for Siddiqui,
Please,
man. Make
please.
another season.
Yeah.
All
No.
right. Yeah, and I guess I'll end it off with this last thing before we end up going away.
Sure.
Just recently, I've had this book for a while, but it's this book,
Oh,
the
nice.
How to Write a Screenplay,
Yeah.
by Sid Field, and I read the introduction of it like last night, and it was very good, and especially just the fact that it kind of made a good like introduction as to, okay, this is just going to be like a guide of like what to do when trying to make a good screenplay.
Mm.
And the reason why I brought it up was because there's the ending of it there's the ending of the introduction that says, when you complete this book, you will know exactly what to do to write a professional screenplay. Whether you do it or not is up to you. And another reason as to why I'm leaving this for the ending of the podcast is saying talent is a God's gift, either or God, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But whatever. Talent is a God's gift. Either you got it or you don't. But writing is a personal responsibility. Either you do it or you don't.
Nice.
And I, as a introduction to this book, it definitely made me realize that, like, oh yeah, I'm about to get back into this.
Good, man.
I can't wait.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that is a good place to end it. We have been talking guys' ear off for, if I'm doing the math correctly, about an hour and a half. So
Again. 90 minutes again.
Right. Thank you guys for watching this amazing podcast episode with my good friend at this point, Mr. Azim Siddiqui. Since this is the sixth episode, I believe this will be. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please rate the show 5 stars on Spotify, and hopefully you just enjoyed it. I don't know what else to say, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But thank you guys so much for listening. This has been Vaughn Baptiste and Azim Siddiqui. Thank you guys so much for listening, and goodbye.